Well, I can see that if I'm going to do this again, or very often, I'm going to have to build a special camera mount because I've had a hard time getting this thing to sit in a good spot. But it looks like you can see the drill bit, so I mean the end mill. We're going to go ahead and just feed him right on in there because I've drilled out the bottom of the hole. He's in, latching down, and I'm going to run him back this way just a little bit till he hits the beginning line of the hole. Alright, that's the end of it. Out we go. Now then, you open up this vise and we'll mill the holes in the other piece. They should go a little bit quicker considering that, I don't know. Alright, now that I've got the crank down here, so we're in line with this guy. That's right down the quicker. And that looks to be very close and right at the right end of the hole too, so we'll crank her up and go on through with this one. Alright, cut her through it. Start feeding it in. Right up to the mark, pop him out, move down to the next hole, I paid a little extra for the mill to get that power feed, and I think it's worth every cent of it. Looks like I'm lined up exactly on the end of the hole. These grow pretty quick because we only need them to be a ½ an inch long. Okay, I put this thing back in the vise because I need to cut about 50 thousandths off each side, so that it'll be the right width to fit in the scope ring that I'm going to mount it to. So we'll crank this up and let I'll move in until it snatches the paper out of my fingers, and I'll know I'm right on it. There we are. That was pretty quick. Alright, so I'm going to move down to the end here. See, I'm knocking off a few little chips, so let's just stop and see how big that is right now. Okay, it made very little difference there. So we're going to move it down here. I'm going to feed in about 50 thousandths. And then we'll take off that little bit of aluminum. I don't think 50 thousandths is a very big cut for this thin stuff like this, so we'll try and do it all in one whack. We're going to cut it right back there to the 1 inch mark. This gives me a lot of extra room to fit the scope ring. Okay, that looks pretty good there. That should give me a whole inch of usable space. I need to go back and get this thing clear-headed. All right, now I'll turn it over and work on it from the other side. Get the chips out of there. And I'm not being as picky with this as I would if it were something precision, but like I say, about plus or minus the 16th for most of it's going to be good. Okay, we got 45 thousandths left on there to take off, so we'll roll the little booger over, and I can see where the mark is. Okay. All right. Get this guy back into here. Pull the parallels out of it. And since I think I'll take about 10 thousandths less cut on this first time through, and then I'll measure it. It's always good to measure twice and cut once. I've heard of that. Much more into it here. Be there shortly. Be about right. Let's measure this thing, see if I've hit the right spot. There, it's within about 5 thousandths of the 0.655 I wrote down, so that'll do the job. No need to do any more cutting on that. Get her out of there. Alright, the next setup is in this little fellow right here. I want to loosen this. Okay, getting all this stuff on camera has greatly complicated things. I turned the vise this way the last time for cutting both sides, but I'd set it up the other way for the benefit of the camera, which obviously didn't work there. So what we're going to do here is try it this way. Now it's obviously not really all that close, but we'll take it all the way to the end of the cut there just for the heck of it. At least everything's clear in the vise. Well, I'm going to have to reset things because I can't go any lower. Okay, we're set up on it again. It's all these problems setting up for the camera makes you certainly appreciate all the trouble that guys like Tom Lepton and Mr. Pete and all those go through to make a video for our amusement. Or our enlightenment. I've learned a lot from their videos, so I look at it sort of like free school. Alright, let's see if this will cut. And we are making a successful cut one more time. A very deep cut. I certainly need to go down a bit further. Wish I had another redneck joke, but one about Bubba sort of cleaned out my stock for the day. Alright, we'll cut her off and check it out again. I don't know if I've gone too far because dimensions will change here in the width. It'd been an angle and all. Okay. That's looking like we're getting closer. One of the main things, I guess, is just to look at that edge and see if that edge is getting down to something usable. All right, one more cut. Probably will be the last cut. And if you cut it and you know it's a little bit too wide, you can just knock the edge off of the file. But the main thing you want is to get at least the most of those angles cut into it so that it'll slide up in the scope ring. Alright, now we've finished this up, it's time to move over and do the bending. I don't know where the battery died at, but here's the piece we just got through cutting. There's the angles on the end of it from the mill. You can see that they're about even. And they're the right width to fit the scope rings. And then I've got a couple of marks here and here where I need to bend it a little bit so that it'll lift up some. So let's do some really high-tech redneck bending operations here. If you don't want to skin up your stuff, you can always put tape on your vise, and of course I've got duct tape on my vise. Alright, just to make sure that's the right angle, let me get the other one. Piece, so we'll just make it to almost. If it doesn't fit, you can always bend it a little bit more. It can take a fair amount of bending. want to get this piece back level again with the front. And it's still not level. So we'll do a little bit more. Whoa, too much. Yeah, too much. Let's see. You can just about eyeball the device and tell when it's back to level. That's close. Okay. Now then we'll take this hammer. This was the first metal shop project that I can remember. I did this when I was in high school about 1,000,000 years ago. I'm sure it was at least 45 or 50 years ago, and I still got the hammer. Hang on. Okay, this is the piece that's going to hold the camera itself. It's going to wrap around it. It'll fit a JVC. I don't know if it'll fit your camera, but it'll fit a JVC because the camera's about 2 1/4 inches tall, and I've made this about 2 1/2. And what we're going to do is get a nice wide bend here. Tape kind of complicates it a little bit, but I think it's going to work out anyway. And I've got the marks there where I want to make the bends. Okay. Here we are. Bent over fairly close to straight. Need to bend it back a little bit, I guess. A little bit off straight. A little too far there. You can straighten out little discrepancies with your fingers. Okay. I have taken a little 1/4 inch by, I guess, 3/4 inch stove bolt here and put a locking nut on it, one of those with a plastic inside so that they don't slip. And got this thing ready to put the camera on the rifle, except now I come up, of course, with a problem of how do I record the camera. I'll solve that in just a minute. Okay, as Maxwell Smart would say, it's the old camera in the cell phone trick. There's our bracket that we just built. It's got the camera on it. It fits up fairly good right up against the scope. If it's too high or too low, you can do what IBM refers to as a farming operation and bend on that a little bit. Here, you can bend it here on one of these brackets. You can put more or less washers under the phone. It's infinitely adjustable. Whatever you do, don't adjust it while it's stuck on the bracket on your scope. There's no use bending your scope while you're bending the bracket. Take it off of here, just takes a second. Do your little bit of bending, put it back on. Why tempt fate? Okay? Okay, there's my super special redneck high degree of accuracy drawing that I promised to put on the screen at the end of the video. That drawing is not to scale, and parts of it are really not too grand, but it'll give you an idea, someplace to start for yours. I didn't write on here 40 degree for these angles, but you can remember that surely. Write it down on something. And as you could see from the previous part of the video, it at least does fit. You can always pause your video here and do a screen print of this, or write it down, or just do something that you'd rather do besides. Thank you.